have you ever wondered how that little cafe on your corner, or your favorite clothing boutique, or even your local hairdresser all manage to stay in business? Even when they're surrounded by competitors? Well, today we're going to dive into the economic model that explains it all.
Here's what we've got on tap. First, we'll look at how this hidden economic model is pretty much all around us. Then, we'll break down its 4 core features. After that, we'll explore the life cycle of profits for these businesses, weigh the pros and cons, and finally, see why this model is really the most realistic middle ground in economics.
All right, let's jump right in by looking at the world just outside your front door. Because this isn't some abstract theory. Nope, this is the engine running the businesses you see every single day.
Okay, think about it for a second. Your local cafe, your hairdresser, that little clothing store downtown, what do they all have in common? I mean, they all have a ton of competitors, right? But you probably have a favorite. Why is that? What's the thread connecting all these different businesses?
Well, the answer is monopolistic competition. It sounds complicated, but it's not. It's just a market where tons of businesses are all competing, but, and this is the key, each one is offering something just a little bit different. That small difference is what gives them their own mini monopoly, their own little slice of the market.
And seriously, you see this model everywhere. We're talking about restaurants, hairdressers, clothing stores, cafes. It's basically the entire fabric of your local main street. They're all in the same game, but each one has its own unique flavor, its own style, or its own special kind of service.
So how does this market actually work? To really get it, we need to understand the 4 core features. You can think of them as the rules of the game.
Okay, first up, there are lots of buyers and sellers, so no single business can totally dominate. Second, and this is the big one, the most important one, the products are differentiated. We're going to come right back to that. Now, because of that differentiation, businesses have some control over their prices. It's also pretty easy for new businesses to jump into the market since the barriers to entry are low. And finally, they compete on things like advertising and branding, not just on who has the lowest price.
And this idea of differentiation is actually super broad. It's not just about the physical product. It could be the incredibly friendly service you get at your local cafe. It could be the super convenient location of your dry cleaner. Or maybe it's just the cool brand image of a clothing store. It's all about carving out a unique identity.
So, what happens if a business just completely nails it and creates a really unique identity? Well, that brings us to the very dynamic rise and fall of profits in this market, what we can call the profit squeeze.
So, at first, a company that really gets its differentiation right, like, say, a restaurant with a fantastic new menu, can make what economists call supernormal profits. They are just crushing it. Why? Because they're offering something new and exciting that people are totally willing to pay a little extra for.
But here's the catch. When other people see that success, they all think, hey, I want a piece of that action. And because it's pretty easy to open up a new shop, new competitors start popping up, all inspired by that original success story. And this all leads to a really predictable cycle. In the short run, being unique can lead to big profits. But in the long run, as new companies jump in and either copy or innovate on that original idea, that initial advantage starts to fade. The market gets more crowded, and the profits for everyone get squeezed back down to what's called a normal level, which is basically just enough to stay in business.
Now, this constant cycle of innovation and competition creates some really obvious benefits, but it also has some downsides. So let's take a look at the trade-offs that are baked right into this kind of market.
Okay, on the plus side, the biggest win is for us, the consumers. We get a huge variety of choices, and there's constant innovation as businesses try to one-up each other. It also makes it easy for new entrepreneurs to get started. But the disadvantage? Well, it's not perfectly efficient. Economists would say it's not productively efficient, meaning prices are a little higher than rock bottom, and it's not allocatively efficient, meaning society might have too many cafes and not enough of something else. So what we're really doing is trading some of that perfect textbook efficiency for more choice and more creativity.
So, where does all this leave us? Well, while it might not be the most perfect economic model on paper, monopolistic competition is often called the most realistic model for the world we actually live in.
The reason is that it so perfectly combines elements from the 2 big extremes. You get the fierce rivalry you see in perfect competition, but you also get a little hint of the uniqueness and price-setting power you'd find in a monopoly. That blend is exactly what makes it so common and so dynamic.
And this table right here makes it crystal clear where our topic fits in. Take a look. Just like perfect competition, it has many farms and low barriers to entry. But, like a monopoly, its products are differentiated, not identical.
And now look at the long-run profit. It gets competed right back down to normal, just like in perfect competition, not sustained at supernormal like in a pure monopoly. It really is the ultimate hybrid model.
So really, this is the key takeaway. It's this messy, dynamic, constant push and pull between competition on one side and individuality on the other that fuels all the innovation and variety that we get to enjoy every single day when we're trying to decide where to get our coffee. So I'll leave you with a question to chew on. When you walk down a street and you see a dozen different coffee shops, all spending money on their branding and their fancy decor, is that a waste? Or is that little bit of inefficiency a small, and maybe even fair, price to pay for the choice, the creativity, and the vibrancy they bring to our communities?